Okay, welcome then to this session on an introduction to EBSCOhost research databases. So this webinar is essentially set up to introduce you to the accessible EBSCOhost databases that are subscribed by the National University of Ireland in Galway. That includes databases like Academic Search Complete, Business Source Complete, CINAHL, and so on. So in this session, we'll look at identifying, selecting databases, the basic searching elements, refining search results, using personal folders to save and retrieve items, and also find additional information. So I'm just going to introduce myself formally here. I'm Richard Crooks. I'm not sure I met any of you last year when I was in Galway. Unfortunately, of course, due to the pandemic, we're not able to run this session on site this year, but we still have access through WebEx. And I'm a senior manager for training services. I've been with EBSCO now almost 10 years, so January will be my 10th anniversary. And I've been a chartered librarian for over 12 years with an MA from Sheffield. So my background is, I have a humanities background, but also spent a lot of time obviously supporting the medical profession, nursing staff, and within the UK NHS service for over 12 years. Okay, so that's me. And I'm also a trainer for EBSCO. So in terms of so we have a student here waiting, interesting, in the waiting area. So let me see if we can, I didn't actually set, sorry, Reza, I didn't actually set the waiting room, so I'm not sure what will happen here. Okay. So I'm just going to pause it momentarily to see if I can find a way to invite them. It's one thing with WebEx compared to Zoom, some of the functionality is a bit more complex, and we're not normally using the waiting room, so that might be on by default. Okay. Okay, sorry, I can't find that. Okay, so in terms of the interaction, please use the chat panel on the right side of your screen. I know some of you have started to use that already, which is great. So forward any question or comment you have. If there are any intermittent issues with your audio, go to the audio button on the panel, or if you look to the top left of the screen, you should see a series of links across the toolbar. So check the audio link there and follow the audio conference link. Okay, and it will allow you to test your speaker headset if necessary, if you need to change devices mid-flow. Okay, so by the end of the session, you should be able to identify and select EBSCOhost databases. There's a particular way you go to. Some of you may already be familiar with that, but if not, we'll just show you that. You'll be able to find full text articles using basic search options, refine your search results using available limiters, filters that are on the EBSCOhost platform, and also you'll be able to use the personal folders to save and retrieve items and searches. So as I mentioned at the outset, we are going to look at some more of the advanced search features in the next session. So I know a number of you are involved in supporting systematic reviews or writing reviews, and you need help with that. So this will be a starting point, if you like, and also you can handle some questions during the course of this WebEx, but others will be handled in the next session, which again I'll remind you of as we near the end of the webinar this morning. Okay, so again, send through any questions that you have. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go to my desktop just to highlight access. So I have got some screenshots, by the way, in the PowerPoint for reference post-session. If I need to, I'll refer back to those as we go through this, but a lot of the information there is ready for information for you to refer to after the session. So I'm going to just share my desktop with you right now. Okay, and you should see the library homepage for Galway. And to access the EBSCO databases, you need to just enter EBSCO here and click search. Obviously, this will bring up a list of results from within the search engine. You'll notice there's the suggested database, okay, for Academic Search Complete. So you can see these are coming directly from EBSCOhost. However, if you want a dedicated list rather than the 143,000 results, just go to the resource type option, click show more, and then choose databases. Okay, so you'll see there are 22 databases from EBSCO, and if you want them alphabetically listed, then go to sort and you can resort to by title. Okay, so it's listing the databases available from EBSCO. Okay, so you have, for example, Academic Search Complete, which is a multidisciplinary database. Okay, so if we click on that link here, for example, this will take you to the following page. So this is the kind of approach that you'll be taking to access any of these databases, or if you want specific information about database, so what does Academic Search Complete actually cover? What am I going to get if I search this database? Well, if you scroll down further, you'll see we've got the details. So you can see the subject matter included here. Obviously, this is multidisciplinary. So you've got art, social sciences, you've got classics, you've got education, you've got history, you've got Irish studies here, business, economics, management, so on. You've got medicine. So it's a multidisciplinary database. I'll just expand this a little bit more so you can see this. And you can see here you have more than 5,000 full-text periodicals indexed, of which 4,400 are peer-reviewed. So you've got a very large database of multidisciplinary content. So obviously that could be a very good starting point for your topic because it covers a range of disciplines. Okay, if we go back a step, if we take another one here, for example, let's go to Business Source Complete. Again, similar format, you'll see here the title of the database. Obviously it's from EBSCO Publishing there. And then obviously it's a much more focused database because it's looking at scholarly business journals, business information. So that includes financial data, books, reference works, conference proceedings, case studies, SWOT analysis, company profiles, and so on. So obviously each has their strengths in terms of the content coverage. Obviously at times the clue of the content is related to the actual database name. For example, British Education Index. You've got CINAHL Complete, which obviously is a key health database covering nursing and allied health care. And again, you have a quantity of full-text journals. So you get about 5,500, almost 5,500 journals indexed in CINAHL, of which about 1,300 will be full-text publications. Okay, so typically you'll find the databases have a quantity of full-text available. We also use a technology called smart linking. So if that same article is indexed, or that same journal is indexed in another EBSCO database, so for example, if you did a search on Academic Search Complete and that same journal is indexed in CINAHL Complete, then the full text content will be shared between the two databases. In other words, the links will be transferable. So you would still end up with additional full text content that's coming from another EBSCO database. So we call it smart linking, okay? So you'll find a lot of full text content that's available. Okay, so what I recommend, obviously the key thing is to familiarize yourself with what's available here currently. Obviously Econ Lit, you've got ERIC in terms of education, teaching. You can load more results from this screen as well. There are some free databases like Greenfile, which is environmental information. You've got historical abstracts here, so if we click on this link, again, you can just come back to this page and note the content, which includes, of course, Irish studies here. So we have historical articles from over 1,800 journals in over 40 languages. Okay, so again, a range of databases that are available across the board here. So if you want to access any of these databases, of course, you just need to simply click on the link to the database itself. So for example, you go out to Business Source, click on that link. Now, let me see if we can take me through to this one. Okay, now as you can see here, I am off-site, so I'm not in Galway. I'm not at the university, and I gather most of you are probably not on site. You may well be working, obviously, from home, online. So obviously you need to log in here. And I don't know if Rosie wants to say anything more about signing into the database locally compared to my access, which is going through an internal system. So I don't know if Rosie, you want to say anything about that at all while we have everyone here? I can unmute you here.
Thanks, Richard. Yes,
okay.
So yeah, thanks for displaying that. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the off-campus login at this stage. Yeah, we are all mostly working from home, Richard, so this will be a familiar login prompt now, but thanks for the reminder.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, Rosie. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take a shortcut. I don't have authentication to go in this way, so I'm going to go through another route here. So I'm just going to switch screens here. And again, I'm going to point out to you a list of databases. You can see here, these are all your EBSCOhost databases. So as you saw earlier, you've got about 22 of these from various disciplines. Some are multidisciplinary, some are quite specialist. Again, you've got ones like AgeLine, which looks at a population age 50 plus, issues of aging and so on. You've got audiobook collection, so you've got the business abstracts of full text from H.W. Wilson. Again, you've got ebooks, EconLit of full text from the American Economic Association, and so on. So you've got a range of databases, and one thing to note with these, you can search them simultaneously. So I know it depends on the searches that you're doing. Obviously, if you're supporting a systematic review or writing review, then you would invariably probably search their databases individually. And I'll say more about that possibly in this session, but certainly in the next session. So you can, of course, if you're doing an initial search or a fairly basic search, you can search multiple databases. And you'll notice also on this page, there are links here. So for example, if you want to take a look at the index journals in Academic Search Complete ahead of time, click on the title list link, and that will give you the alphabetical listing of the various journals that are indexed. And on this list, you'll see which ones have full text coverage. So for example, the ABA journal has PDF and HTML full text. So when you see these links, they're not actually active here. You have to go into the journal itself. This indicates there's a quantity of full text content here. In fact, this one has full text coverage from 1975 to the present. You'll notice some have HTML, some have PDF. That's down to the discretion of the publisher. So if you think, well, there's a mistake here, no, it's just down to the formats that we are provided in terms of, as a company, we try to make sure we get access to the best available journals that host the best available content. As a company, we do ranking studies, usability tests to make sure that what we're providing is what people want, what you want, essentially, obviously based with limitations of publishing and so on. But again, that just indicates on this listing what's available. And of course, you can browse this list as well. Okay. In addition to that, if you want more specific information about the database, you'll see each of these databases has this more information link. So for example, if I go to AgeLine, click on that link, it will tell you more about the AgeLine database specifically. And again, there's a brief description, there's some search tips, and there's information on the searchable fields. So again, field code searching we'll talk about in the advanced session. Okay, so just to direct you to where you can go to find more information, on the PowerPoint I'll show you later probably, there is a website, EBSCO.com, which also gives you a breakdown of the kind of content coverage, the subject coverage, title coverage of specific databases as well. So to search a database, again, I know this is going to be basic for some, but I know in my previous experience in Galway, we had people who have not been in education for some time or not been on a course for some time. So this is the introduction. Okay, so it might be basic for some, for others this may be just at the right level. But again, send through any comments or questions as we go through this. So if you're going to search a database, a couple of options. You can click on the link to the preferred database, or you can select it here and then click continue. If you're going to search simultaneously, there are a couple of ways to do that. So if we look, for example, at Academic Search Complete here, we'll go down to Business Source Complete, and then we'll also choose EconLit with full text. So I can select all three databases and click continue. Now the next page may be more familiar to you. So this is the advanced search screen, which is the default entry point for your databases, what you have set up currently. And you'll see now, although it lists Academic Search Complete first, if I click Show All here, you'll see we're going to search across all three databases simultaneously. Okay. Now, one thing to note is each database is, in a sense, searched differently. So again, if we go to the Help menu on the top right there, so we're going to look at what is essentially what we call an unqualified search, or a basic keyword or free text search. If I scroll down to this bottom of this menu, you'll see we've got specific menus or help for these three databases. So if I take one of these, like Business Source Complete, and open this screen, and you should see now this series of links, including searchable fields. If I go to searchable fields, it will tell us from the outset what the default fields are for unqualified searches. So an unqualified search is simply a keyword or free text search. So just as you would use with Google or Bing or other search engines, you type in your terms, run the search, and it will retrieve results based on where those terms appear, often for a search engine within the full text record or citation. Now, Business Source Complete, when you enter your terms, it's going to search for all these fields that are listed. Okay, so that includes all authors, all subjects, so that's the index term, all keywords, so these could be provided by the author or abstractor, all title information, that includes the source title, and all abstracts. So the results are retrieved based on the words that you enter appearing in those fields. So they will differ. So if we jump, for example, to Econ Lit the full text, you'll see there are additional fields as well here. Okay. So again, they may differ between databases. Okay. So in this instance, we're going to run a search here. We're going to try and keep it as impartial as possible in terms of, I know there's some engineers here, there's some, those who are focusing on social science, business, etc. So I'm going to try and keep it more topical just to illustrate here. So we're going to look at something which I know is either controversial or exciting, whichever side of the fence you're on. Brexit, okay, and then obviously I'll make it specific to Ireland. So we can enter our terms here. So for example, I can just choose this autocomplete feature. So the autocomplete feature basically is, so if I go back a step here, in fact, let's just go this. So as I start typing, you'll notice here it brings up these popular search terms, and these are based on user logs. So these are search logs that we've recorded, and these are terms that are used by users. We don't have to use them. Obviously, when you're doing a more systematic search, more detailed search, complex search, you're going to enter your terms that you've come up with, that you've identified that you should use. For the sake of illustration here, I'm going to use the ones that are here, essentially. So I can just type here and choose this, okay? And I'm using the Boolean AND here. So we've got these options to combine our search terms, okay? So I've got Brexit here combined with AND instead of OR, because if I chose OR, it'll be looked for everything where Brexit's mentioned, or Ireland, or Irish, or Republic of Ireland, etc. And means I'm going to narrow my search because both these sets of terms have to appear in the results somewhere in the citation, in the records that I retrieve. Okay. Now there is some other additional elements here as well. So you've got these expanders on the right-hand side of the screen. So these are these three items that I'm just hovering over now: apply rated words, also searching the full text, and apply equivalent subjects. So these three elements, I'm just going to go back to the PowerPoint for this, just to highlight this. Okay, so just scroll down and scroll through these screenshots just for information there. And so when you use expanders, they essentially broaden your search results. Again, if you're doing a more complex inquiry search, as you'll see in the next session, these will be largely overridden, but you've got these three items that you can use initially. So the apply rated terms feature is the option to expand results to include synonyms and plurals of your terms. So for example, if you were to put in child, it would look at children, pediatrics, childhood, etc. Okay, and those synonyms and plurals are based on the subject indexing of the database. So I'll say more about subject indexing in a moment. Then there's the also search within the full text of the articles. So that will search not only within the original fields, which are mentioned as an unqualified search, but it will also search within the body of a document. So just as you saw there are PDF, HTML articles indexed in these databases, it will search within those articles, book chapters, etc. directly. Okay. And then the third option, which is on by default, is similar to related terms, but there's more precision to your unqualified keyword search. So what it will do, it will take your search terms and see if there's any similar term or related term in the subject index. So for example, you may type in learning materials, for example, and it might be mapped to the subject term instruction or instructor materials or teaching materials. So again, different indexes have different terms to identify the same content. So it allows you to map your keyword search to the index, so what the article is actually about. So we'll look at subject indexing in a moment in terms of accessing a search through the subject index itself, okay? We have got, again, additional information on this. This is just a brief summary of those three elements, and you can always refer to the help menu within the database to learn more about these three expanders. But they do what they say, they expand your results to bring back more possibly relevant content as well. Of course, with the option to search within the full text, it will retrieve results that may not be directly relevant because it's based on the keyword within the document, not on the subject indexing of that document. So, you know, it has its uses, particularly perhaps if the topic is quite obscure, quite new, then, you know, it might be useful to find content that you would not have found otherwise. But it will bring back perhaps more hits, more results than you actually want. Okay, so let me share my desktop again. We'll go back and run this search now. So in fact, let's just put that option on as well. So also search within the full text. We've got apply subjects already on, and then we can run the search from here. Okay. Okay, so we've got these results. Remember, we're searching across multiple databases. Okay, so I'll say something about that in a moment. So we've got results listed there. And you'll notice on the first column, it records what we've done so far. So we've got the combined terms here. We've got these expanders switched on, and then we can go through the process of limiting. Now, one thing, and it's often we get asked this question, what about duplicate records? What if you have the same record in Academic Search Complete and it's also available in Business Source Complete, for example? Well, there is an automatic deduplication that takes place, and that's based on the citation metadata matching. So again, I'm just going to jump back to the PowerPoint to highlight this. Again, you'll have this referred to in your own time later. So let me just, let me see if I still got this here. It should be, yes, we have. Okay, so this is on screen now, is the deduplication of results when you search multiple databases on the EBSCOhost interface. So essentially it means duplicates are removed by comparing the following citation metadata. So if the title, author field, date published, the journal serial number or name, and the book number, obviously if it's an e-book, book, etc., if they match, then you will end up with one record, not two or three. So it will automatically remove duplicate records from the search results list. Okay. If there's a slight discrepancy, for example, with the author field, you would still end up with duplicate records. But automatically, that's running in the background to bring back a unique list of results when you search multiple databases on the EBSCOhost interface. Okay, so if anyone had concerns about that, that's what it does, and that's when duplicates are removed. So again, if there's slight differences, for example, if the date published is slightly out, say for example you have month before year, year before month, then you would still end up with both records showing. Okay, so there is a process behind the scenes, but you may find occasion when duplicate records still appear. Okay, so just go back here. Now, as we look at the result list, we're going to look at filtering these in a moment, and you will see also if I just jump right down to the bottom of the first column, you can filter by the specific database. So you can see the majority of references for this particular topic are coming through Business Source Complete, over 25,000, followed by Academic Search Complete, and then just a handful of journals from EconLit with full text. Okay, so if you wanted to focus on Business Source, for example, you can select that database. If, on the other hand, you're using EconLit with full text a lot of the time, and you just want to see those 41 references, then you can select that option there. Okay, so again, you can filter by database, even though we've run it across multiple databases. Now, if we look at the filtering aspect, we've got, of course, some that are common to all three databases, such as the full text. So we can retrieve full text records here. So anywhere there's links available to get the full text content, then you can see them listed here, such as a PDF. You've got your link resolver SFX here, which is an alternative. And then you've got others like references available, so if you want to retrieve records that have cited references. If you're looking at specifically a peer-reviewed content as opposed to just magazines or news articles, you've got the publication date slider here. So you can see we've got articles published since 2012 to the present, or 2021. That's just down to the publisher information that we're given. And then you can enter the year in the box provided or simply drag this across. So if you're looking, for example, I know the referendum took place in 2016. Okay, and I think we've just seen a question come through here. So let me just respond here. Okay, thank you, Margaret, for the question. So SFX is your link resolver. So this is another way of linking to content that you have subscribed to, that your library service subscribes to in Galway. So essentially, it's a means of linking to full text content apart from the standard links that you see. So you'll see we've got PDF full text here coming from an EBSCOhost database, and then you've got the link here for this article from SFX. Okay, so it's just a link that's been embedded within the databases to allow you to retrieve essentially non-EBSCO content, so from another publisher or provider. Okay, I'm sure Rosie might want to say more about that, maybe offline. But again, it's just an alternative way of linking to full text content. So the fact is, we've limited to full text content. That means all these 26,000 references have some way to access the full text article, which obviously is what you're really looking for, as opposed to just the abstract. Okay. So we've limited now to 2016, of course. Now we've got source types, so we can filter. So what kind of source types? You'll see we've got quite a lot of magazines here, but we might want to go for something more authoritative, more academic. So we've got academic journals here. We've got general journals as well. Now you may wonder why there's two. It does, in part, it's dependent on the database that you're searching. So some of these limiters may apply to specific databases. Others will be more general. Now, if you are looking to select more than one option from this list of filters, so for example, if you want to select academic journals and reports, you need to click Show More. Okay, and you can see we've got academic journals here, journals and reports here. We may want to go for reviews as well, and then click Update. So we now filter our results based on those specific source types. Each time we choose a filter, they're recorded in the top left here. We call this the bread box. And then UK refer to the bread bin. Americans refer to the bread box. I'm not sure how you refer to it in Ireland, but this is basically, if you think of the breadcrumb trail, you're tracking back to where you started from. It's recording not only the search, the use of expanders, but also the limits that we've applied here as well. And at any one time, you can click the cross to remove that option. So for example, if you don't want to retrieve reviews, you could just remove that option. Okay. Okay, thank you for that, Rosie. I've just seen you posted the message regarding SFX to the group. That's great. Okay, so others we can apply. Now, you may not use all of these, by the way. You use which ones are most appropriate. And of course, if you go to the individual database, they will have different limits as well, or specific to that database. So for example, you've got company here, which would typically relate to business source complete, and geography may relate to academic source complete, for example, academic search complete. Now you've got also, just to clarify, you've got these two subject filters here, subject source term, and you can see them listed here, and then subject. So just to explain the differences here, subject for source term is basically the actual indexing used by each database. If you scroll to the top of the screen, you'll see we've got this on the top toolbar. You can see we've got the academic search complete subject terms. This is the indexing for that database. So essentially, subjects are assigned to individual articles to identify what the content is about. Then you have the business source, which is coming from business source complete, so it has its own indexing. If you scroll down then, this is the subject for source terms. These are coming from these databases. So for example, you've got Brexit referendum, etc. And again, if you want to select more than one of these, you click Show More, and then you choose this list here. Okay. Now they're typically ordered in hit count. So it's saying here in this example that 320 articles or items from the search are indexed with this term, Brexit referendum 2016. Others are on this one, there's economic development, etc. If you want to sort them alphabetically, click name, and then you can scroll through them and see any that may be relevant here as well. Okay. So you can now by the actual subject field as well. Okay, so for example, if we're looking specifically at this, then we can choose these as well. Okay. So we can choose, we can update with those. Okay. So basically we're retrieving records, and you can see below each record there's the subject fields indicated and the terms are highlighted, okay, as you see there. The subject element here, the second element, so you have subject thesaurus term, which is the actual indexing of those databases. The subject filter here relates to the author or abstractor supplied keywords. So it's not as authoritative, but it's based on what terms the authors of the articles, etc., have submitted. So if you're not too sure, I'd go for the subject thesaurus term as more authoritative indexing. So for example, if you're using CINAHL Complete, it uses the CINAHL subject headings from the National Library of Medicine. If you have another database like Academic Search Complete, it may be using a combination of Library of Congress plus EBSCO's own general headings as well. So they have specific subject schemes. If you use Medline, the biomedical database, which is associated with PubMed, then you've got the medical or mesh headings. Then you've got publication, so if you're looking at a particular journal, publisher, of course, company, again, I mentioned this in light of Business Source Complete. And then you've got language as well, so if you want English only, of course, then you can narrow it down by English. Okay, so that's the filtering process, essentially, that you apply to these searches. So before we get into the subject search, again, if you've got any questions, please send them through to me. We'll try and have some time at the end as well for any outstanding ones. So you can just drop a message in the chat and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. But we've got our results here displayed now. So if we're happy with this number, we can start looking through this list and deciding whether we want to save or otherwise. You'll notice the results are sorted by relevance here. So there's the default sort there. And you can sort by the most recent as well. So click date newest. And of course, there may be less relevant records here. Okay, but this will bring up the most recent records. Okay. So this has come from the Journal of Political Studies. Okay, and this is current. Okay. So you can come in here. You can go directly to the record. So click on the title link. And again, this is a good example where you can see here, we've got the subject terms. These are the actual ones used for the indexing. And then you have the author supplied keywords as well. Okay, so less authoritative, but still they could be used. We've got the abstract there, etc. And on the right-hand column, you've got options to save this. So for example, if you use Google Drive, you can save it to Google Drive. Otherwise, you can use the default folder. So add to folder, and that will be stored in the session folder on the top right of your toolbar. Okay, so you can see that referenced now. Okay, so if we are going to work through our results quite quickly, then we don't need to sign into anything else and can use the folder as necessary. In fact, I just noticed actually this author, it's Owen Daly, is associated with Galway. So this is I didn't expect that, by the way. So in fact, he's associated with the School of Law at National University of Ireland. So I actually did not plan for that, by the way, but that's a very good example. You have a local author here, come from the School of Law, in relation to an article which is published very recently in the Journal of Political Studies. Okay. So we can spend time on this particular article. And then we've got the option to print this. Okay. That includes the HTML full text article itself. And on this page, by the way, if you are looking to, you want the citation format, then you can choose the appropriate reference style there, Harvard in this example, or you can choose a customized fill format here. And then you can print this reference with that citation format. Okay, so if you need to refer to it in a paper or in a presentation, for example. You can also email this as well if you prefer. If you'd rather send it by email, the PDFs are sent as separate attachments, by the way, so be mindful of that, but you'll still get a copy of the PDF article if you need it here. You can save as well, so we generally recommend, if you're using Internet Explorer, this is probably the best option. However, if you click Save, you can, as you see here, you get the reference here and the HTML article together. So you can right-click, you can print this from here, you could save it, you could print it to your, I've got a connection here, of course, I can print this off, or I can save it as a PDF if I wanted to from this menu. And of course you can see the number of pages, this is 23 pages long. Okay, so generally that save feature works within Internet Explorer in terms of saving it as a text file. You've also got the option to cite as well, so again you want clarity on how to cite. I know with many of you working in different disciplines, you might have different reference styles that you're referring to. We've got AMA there, we've got APA there for those who work in an area of psychology, psychiatry, etc. We've got Harvard again, Chicago, MLA, Vancouver, and so on. So each reference style is represented with this specific article in view. Okay. So now, obviously, we do have this disclaimer at the top there to consult your library resources. So obviously, you can speak to Rosie, your local library team at Galway, as to the preferred referencing. So you may have a particular style, maybe it's a modification of some other style like Harvard. So again, these are just give you some indicators, a benchmark for citing here. And if you want more detailed information, for example, on Harvard referencing, click on the link here. And then you can see it gives you a list of format types, journal article, magazine, newspaper article, book chapter, how to cite. But I know for those of you, of course, so many of you are working on PhDs, no doubt you've been advised or being directed by your tutors, etc., in terms of citing references and so on. But it gives you an indication of what you can do. Now, I know we've had questions before about the exporting. So there is an export manager that you can use. So if you are looking to find articles and then create a bibliography, then you've got the export option under Tools on the right-hand side of the screen. So I click on that link, it opens up this export manager, and you can see the available options here. So you can do a direct export to RS, which is suitable for EndNote, Zotero, Reference Manager, which is now Mendeley Manager, and then you've got the RefWorks option as well. So again, there are a number of options if you want to use which ones are appropriate to save or email this reference in the appropriate format. So this is looking at the individual detailed record and then exporting it directly. We'll see how you can do that for the full text and the results in a moment. You've got a note option as well. So if in the course of reviewing some of these articles, you want to add a note here, okay, you can save this and you can store that in your folder. So if I go to the top right of my screen again, you should see in a moment the note stored here on the left-hand column. So it says Notes, and you can see I've got this reference here to this article by Owen Daly, Clinical Studies. Okay. Okay, and then there's the permalink. So another option you have, besides printing, emailing the reference, you can just generate a link to it. So I know in the course of your work, you might be tempted just to use the browser URL at the top there to bookmark this article or the page you're on. However, that's only for the duration of the session. So really you want to look at the permalink under Tools to generate the URL that you need for this article. So if you come across an article like this and you want to share it with your tutor, your supervisor, etc., then you can, or a colleague or classmate, then you can actually just cut and paste this into your email and forward that link to them. They would, of course, then need to be authenticated in the normal way as you would to access articles, items, etc. So this will save you, obviously, emailing the PDF, etc., sending the detailed record. Instead, you just send this link to this particular page. So this link will take you to this detailed record page. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go back now and we're just going to look at the full text briefly. So again, we're going to stay on this article. So the first item you can see here is HTML. So where you see the HTML full text link, it gives you this page. So obviously it's suitable for viewing on the web online. And a couple of options here. You've got, if you are If English is not your first language, by the way, you can translate this into one of about 30 languages here. So, for example, we've got Farsi, we've got Hungarian, we've got Italian, we've got Norwegian, Russian, etc. Chinese, simplified Chinese, and so on. So again, you can translate this article from English to another language, not vice versa, by the way. Okay, so we'll do a machine translation of this actual article. So that's available for each of the HTML full text references you see, those links. We also have the option to listen to this being read as well. So if you prefer to, multitask and you don't have time to read this, you want to listen to this rather than read it, then you can listen online. And you can see here we've got the default American accent. We have got others, Australian and British, but unfortunately no Irish here as of now. So, but you can listen to it with an American accent, and you can change the speed and the text highlighting as well. So again, if anyone is visually impaired, obviously this should help because you've got the word color, highlighting, etc. there, and the reading itself. And then you've also got the MP3 that you can download as well, so you can listen to it later. Okay, so the text-to-speech software is embedded there for the HTML full text articles. And this is on any database, so we're in Academic Search Complete, but if you're in Econ Lit with full text, if you're in Cinema Complete, if you're in AgeLine, British Education Index, you would still see that same feature for full text articles that are in HTML format. Now, it may be that you want to go to the PDF directly so that you can print this off or email it. So just click on the PDF link here. I know this is fairly basic. And then you can just read this online if you wish, or you can just simply go through the same process, download or print this using the appropriate icons there here. Just to add, in terms of, again, exporting, you've got the export under tools here on the far right there. You can export there and choose the appropriate format. You can either save it into RS or email it or another format. So again, if you're using EndNote, you can use that feature. And then there's the permalink again. This time, this link here will direct you or your colleagues, tutors, whatever, to whoever, to this specific article. So if you want to send the PDF, you can send a link to the PDF without sending the attached file, then you can use this permalink. Okay, again, don't use the browser URL, use the permalink icon. So wherever you see the permalink icon, you can generate a URL, a web address to this article. Okay. Again, if there's any issues with sending PDF articles because the file size, etc., this is one way around it. Okay. So any questions on any of that functionality, please let me know. I know some of it's quite basic, but it may be new to some of you. Okay. Right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to switch tact here because I know we spent a lot of time on the basic searching. So I'm going to look at the subject index searching. So I'm going to clear my screen and we'll look at more about saving items as well. So before I do that, in fact, let me just clear my screen here. Okay, and I'm going to switch databases to illustrate in a moment. So I'm going to click Choose Databases, and I can deselect ones I'm currently looking for. And I'm going to choose Cinema Complete here. Click OK. And also I'm going to hide my search, just clear my search history. So I can go in to open up my search history, and I can select from this list here, and I can delete my searches. Okay, so this is just in preparation for the next part of this training here. So I'm going to stop sharing and just jump back to my PowerPoint, give you a rest, okay, from the screen there. And let me just scroll down here. So just want to say about free text versus subject searching. Again, for those who may not be so familiar with subject indexing, just to clarify, obviously free text searching, keyword searching, we are looking for an exact match of the terms you enter. So an example here from Sinal, if you were to enter heart attack, it's going to literally look for that phrase or those terms. If you use quotation marks, by the way, it will look for the phrase search. So you can use quotation marks or speech marks for exact phrase searching. Okay. So obviously, if you enter the term incorrectly, there is a prompt to say, did you mean? So you often be prompted to choose the term that you actually meant in case you mistyped it, okay? So that is also an exact match. We talked about unqualified searching. So with Sinal, it's looking through the title field, the abstract field and the subject field when you run a keyword search. Okay, so if your phrase, if your words appear in any of those fields, it will retrieve results. Okay, if we then compare that to obviously subject searching, we're looking at the use of available subject indexes. And again, an example will be the CINAHL subject headings. We talked about the business thesaurus or business source complete, by the way, earlier. So these are where terms have been assigned by professional indexers. They read through the content as added to a database, and they identify the subject matter, and they assign a list of terms about that subject. So the National Library of Medicine in the US provide the CINAHL subject headings, as they do for Medline with MESH, and indexers will then look at that list, and then they will assign headings from that list to the subject matter. So if they come across an article which talks about heart attack, then they will assign the subject heading myocardial infarction. Okay, that's the official index term for articles or book chapters or dissertations about heart attack. Okay, so I know it's maybe very basic for some of you, but I just want to clarify. One is looking at keyword searching. One, of course, is looking at the index term that's used. So there is a couple of ways to search the index term in CINAHL, and also, by the way, in Business Source Complete. So I'm just going to take you through that now on my screen. So let me just do this. Okay, so I'm back on CINAHL. Again, if you've got any questions or if you need me to rewrite to go through something again, let me know. Okay, I'm going to try and keep the time. So we've got this CINAHL database. So again, this is a nursing allied health database, and if you are going to run a search, there are a couple of ways to find the actual index term. I'm just going to use the example we just used. In fact, let me use another one. So GORD or GERD, okay? So this is referring to gastroesophageal reflux disease. So I know in the acronym GORD or GERD. So what I can do, if I want to know what the index term is in CINAHL, or if I want to combine the two, so this will be my keyword search, I can select this option, suggest subject terms, okay? That box there. If I click search now, it's going to bring back the actual term that indexers use to identify content about this particular disease. So it's actually gastroesophageal reflux. So this is the index term for anything related to GORD or GERD. Okay, I think GORD is used in the US, GERD in the UK. So they all relate to the same thing essentially. So you can follow this blue line across. I'll get into this in more detail in the second session if you're attending that, the advanced searching. But basically means this is selected now. We can also combine our index search with our keyword search. You'll notice the bottom set here says search as a keyword. If I select that option, it's going to combine these two terms on the right-hand side. So you can see now we've got the link here to gastroesophageal reflux. This indicates we're going to retrieve articles where that heading has been assigned, by the indexers for CINAHL. Plus, we're doing a keyword search on GORD or GERD. We combine them with OR because we're going to, they're like terms, they're related. So we're using a combination of keyword searching and subject searching in this instance. And then we click search database. So once we click search database, it brings up our records in the normal way in the results list. And if I click search history, you can see here, this is the search we just run. So just to explain this, you can see here the MH prefixes gastroesophageal reflux, which makes it a bit larger for you. MH simply means it's an exact heading. It's a subject heading used in CINAHL, MH. Okay, so that is the definitive term for anything related to GORD or GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease. And then we have the keyword search, and they combine together in one search string, and we have the results below. And as before, we have the options to narrow it down. So for example, if we want full text only, we can retrieve those. And while we're in CINAHL, I just want to point out another feature here. So again, you'll see that there are some common limiters like the full text, references available, the date slider, you have the source types. But with CINAHL, you also have the geography option here, age and gender, and geography. So geography, in this instance, in CINAHL, relates to the country of publication. Now, you will notice that UK and Ireland are grouped together. So I know we've been asked, can you separate this? Well, I can. personally, and as a company we can. This is something which is why it's embedded in EBSCO. It's seen as an EBSCO product, but it's historic that the UK and Ireland as a subset are grouped together. So what this means is if I select this option, it's going to retrieve references that are indexed in a UK or Irish publication. Okay, so it could come from the British Journal of Nursing, it could come from the World of Irish Nursing and Midwifery. Okay, in other words, it's not about the country of content. So you'll see here, for example, these authors look like they're Chinese, and this is published in evidence-based complementary alternative medicine. Okay, so again, it's not about where the research is carried out, it's to do with the country of publication. So when you choose UK and Irish journals, it is literally that, or UK and Ireland, it's the origin of the journal. Now that you may then want to ask about the question, because if you remember the first search I ran, I included Ireland, Irish, Republic of Ireland. How would you then do a more authoritative search for a country like Ireland? Well, in that case, you would need to make use of the subject headings again, and again, you could enter your term in the box provided and use this mapping feature, or you can go straight to single subject headings, and then you could search for Ireland here, for example, or whichever territory you're searching into, and then browse. And you can see here now, you can see Ireland's listed, also Northern Ireland's also there as well. But it's saying, yeah, you could enter Republic of Ireland, but it's actually Ireland is the actual term used by the National Library of Medicine. That is to identify content that relates to Ireland specifically. And again, you can combine it with a keyword search as well if you wish to, or leave as it is, click search database, and then you would combine that with the other search. So for example, this one, or if we want to get the original search, we can combine it with the original search, okay, and retrieve articles about gastroesophageal reflux disease that relate to articles, Ireland, and there's only 3 currently indexed, okay, and it may be because, yeah, okay, so, and this is an example where you've got a duplicate record, obviously, so this is where there's some discrepancy between the reference and the result is pulled back, is being repeated, okay, so this is just an illustration of what can happen. It sometimes will bring back records that are duplicated. But you'll see that this journal is from the World of Irish Nursing Midwifery. Okay. So just to point out to you in terms of if you're looking for country-specific content, it's you'll need to go to the single subject headings in this instance. Okay. Now, if I just switch briefly to Business Source Complete, I want to also highlight that this feature is also available through that database. So click OK here. And you can see we've got the database open and the suggest subject terms option is open. So for example, if we look for economic austerity, for example, we can map this to suggest subject terms and see if there's another term that we can use. And you can see here, this is the business thesaurus for Business Source Complete. And you can see it uses austerity economics. We can select this, click add. And in this instance, you'll notice there's a DE. So in CINAHL there's an MH, which is a exact subject heading for CINAHL. Business Source uses DE or descriptor. So this is showing us that this is the exact heading for articles about economic austerity within Business Source Complete. And you can click search and retrieve all items indexed. So it's company profile, report, journal, index for that term. Okay. So that's just really to illustrate the use of the subject headings for searches. So again, I haven't seen any more questions recently, so if you do have any about this, please send them through to me if I'm not making myself clear. Okay. So we're going to stay in this database, I think, because of time. So in terms of saving records now, if we want to save these records, then we have some options. The first option under share, the first item, you can see add to folder. We've got these little icons here. You can save these records individually. These are then stored in the folder. And if you look at the far right column and click folder view, this will show that we've now stored additional items. Okay, so I've still got the original, so there's 4 items there stored. Okay, I've got the original item, political studies that we saved, plus these other ones now. If I go back to my results list, and then you'll find we can also save a page of records. So at the moment, if you click share, you can save up to 10 records per page. Now that's not too many. You can increase that. If you go to page options, you can save up to 50. So if I click 50 here under page options, I can then retrieve or save that number of records per page. And once again, if I go back to the folder, and I can also go back to the folder on the top toolbar. Okay. And then they're stored here. So we now have 51 articles. I saved that original article from the Political Studies Journal, and then I've just saved another 50 from Business Source Complete and have them listed here. And this means that I can then process these. So for example, if I wanted to print a list or email them, I can just select and follow the prompts to print or email. Notice again, if you email references from the EBSCO folder here, then it will send PDFs as separate attachments. So you want to untick this box here. You can choose the citation format once again, and then you could send to the appropriate person. So if you want to share it with your tutor, supervisor, etc., then you could email this list to them. Now, again, I've been asked about this before, about the exporting. So if you are running different searches, so I ran a search earlier on Academic Search Complete and now Business Source Complete. So I've got a list of results from both databases or more than one database. I can select these and I can export them from here. So again, you can choose the appropriate format to export. So again, if you use EndNote, you can do a direct export by saving here. Okay. So again, we talk about exporting in more detail in the future session. Okay. Now, inevitably, the question might come up, well, what if I want to save them? I don't have time to process them now, and I want to go back. I want to look at age line. I want to go to British Education Index, historical abstracts, and run searches. Okay, so for that, you'll need to sign in here. So you can see sign into my EBSCOhost. So if you click sign into my EBSCOhost, this will allow you to create a personal account, and unfortunately, I think because I'm accessing it in this way, it's not allowing me to do that. I didn't expect that to happen, by the way. So just thinking if I can get around that. It's probably cached somehow. Let's see. Okay, what I might do here is just click sign in here to see if this is going to work. Okay, what I'm going to do, pause it momentarily. I'm going to just sign into another account here to see if I can bring this up for you. So I'm just going to close that one, and I'm going to log in as myself here on another account. So bear with me as I just go on here. So let me just go into a database here. So just go back to Business Source Complete. I'll run a search and I'll share my screen in a moment just to save time here. So I'm hoping this will work now. Let me just, okay. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so sign into another database. I'm hoping this time I can show you this, but basically I'm going to just share a page, save a page of information, of course. Go to my folder view again. And then I've got these references. So if I want to sign into my EBSCOhost, I'm hoping this is not cached. Okay, so this is what should happen. So when you click on that link, sign in, it will present you with this sign-in form. So if you've created a folder previously on another database, such as CINAHL, such as Econ Lit with Full Text, Academic Search Complete, then you can use the same account for that. So this is a personal folder account. So it's not your initial login to access your databases off campus in the standard way that Rosie mentioned earlier. This is where you create your own personal account and then use it. So we've got one, you can create one here on this page, and obviously choose, enter your name and so on, create your password, etc. There's a consent form you need to agree to. If you're concerned about the data that we store, follow the link there and it will give you confirmation of what information we need, etc. What we retain. If you have an account, or once you've created it, click sign in, and then you can enter your information here provided. And I'm not sure what is happening here. It's something to do with the rendering on the screen, but I'm going to click in sign in with Google as a shortcut. So you'd enter your login details. This will then take you back to your folder, and this time you'll be signed in. So in a moment you should see my results appear. And of course you see some information on COVID-19. I've got 100 articles stored here. So this is a previous search. So it's now bringing back results from previous searches. And of course I can then process these as I want to. But it means that that information is now stored beyond the session. So if I go back to my search here, what I can also do is save my search, my original search here. Now I've got quite a simple one, just the subject search here, but I can save it on this screen, click Save Search Alerts. I can go in and edit it further. So for example, I can go to Edit, and I want to make sure that I get references that are in English, for example, okay, and also maybe full text, and I can save this here. Okay, once I've done that, I can choose my topic, and then I can save it either permanently or for a 24-hour period. Okay, so I'm going to save it for 24 hours and click Save. Once I've done that, I get confirmation that's stored or modified, and as I click Continue, it will take me back to my folder. So that My EBSCOhost account, the personal account I just talked about, is for saving results beyond the session. It's also for saving searches as well and setting up search alerts. And then you'll see I've got my saved searches here, and if I go to page 2, you should see the most recent one, which is on economic austerity from Business Source Complete, and now it's stored there. Okay. Now I'm not going to get into too much detail about the other elements of personal folder because of time, but you have the option to create custom folders. Again, we talk about that in the next session, but you can also share content from a folder as well. So if you click on one of these folders here, for example, if I look at remote working, you can see there's a share link here, which means I can invite users to access this folder. So again, I'll go through that in the second session, but two things to note here. First of all, you can share articles that you store beyond the session with others, so you invite them to see that content. It's read-only. Also, you can save a link to the search here, and they can view that as well. So if you go back to the search results here, and then go to share, you'll see there is an option to save this search as a link. So if I click this one here, the austerity and economics, then I go back to my folder, and you should see the link and the persistent link to searches. So it's there. Okay, so that's the link that you would use. You can literally cut and paste that into your browser. Okay. So that can also be shared with other users. So the shared folder option means you can share articles you saved and also the link to the search. Okay, I know we're almost out of time actually. We did start a bit late, so I did have a quiz or an assessment which I wanted to share with you. What we could do, so just check there's a question here. Okay, so just check on this question here. Okay, can you export directly to EndNote from the personal folder? Yes, you can. So basically what it means is, thank you for that question, Margaret. If you go to your folder, so say you've been running numerous searches, you've got everything here, so I've got 100 references. I can select these on the screen, go to export, and then I can do a direct export, and you can see EndNotes listed here, okay? Or EndNote Online, which we still refer to as EndNote Web, but that should say EndNote Online. That's going to be updated in due course. So again, you've got the option to do a direct export from here, okay? And then you can save here. And it's now going to open up another screen in any case. But so yeah, so the answer is yes, you can do a direct export, okay? Also to point out here as well, on here, just briefly, when you assign into your folder, by the way, you can save items directly into the folder from the search results. So if you go, if I click on this one now, for example, you'll see it brings up a list of folders that I've created or my folder. Okay. Again, I'm going to get into that in the next session. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to just stop here. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing here for the moment. Okay, I know it's quite a lot of information to take in at one time. I have got a test or a quiz that you're welcome to sit through or to take. I would give you typically 10 minutes on this, but I know it's 12:22. We're due to finish at 12:30 promptly. So you may want to take this in your own time after the session. I can collate answers automatically. It's using Google Forms, so I can check the results, etc. So perhaps it might be best to leave this for a post-session rather than now, just simply because of the time we have left. But let me just stop here and see if, yeah, I've got some other things I wanted to show here. So, and I know I have another session at 12:30, so I'll need to leave on the dot, as it were. So, yep, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here now, thanks Rosie, I'm going to get the, let me just bring this up here. I'll get you the, I'll send through the actual quiz reference. For those of you who've got a mobile handy, who want to scan it now, you can. You don't have to do it right now, but you will have the PowerPoint to refer to anyway. But I will just post a link here in the chat if you want to take this. Let's see. Let me just bring this up. Sorry, I'm just going to bring up the PowerPoint. Okay. So I'm just going to grab the URL for this and I'll post this. So this is the abbreviated URL. So I'm going to just send this now in the chat. So this is the link to the quiz, the assessment for this particular session. Okay. So you're welcome to click on that and then bookmark that and complete it in your own time. So I will track progress. Obviously, there's about 10 points up for grabs as well, as it were. And if there is a tie in terms of the points, it'll be the first one to complete the test with the highest score, etc. I'm still working on a potential prize for this, so bear with me on that score. Okay. I will say we have got obviously just a few points there to summarize in terms of the session itself, some of the key points I mentioned. And I will also direct you towards the PowerPoint because there are links here to support your use of the EBSCOhost interface. And I know some of you probably want more advanced searching aspects covered. Again, that's going to be covered in our next session. So I just want to make a mention of this. So this is scheduled for, will be scheduled shortly for 11 a.m. on the 8th of December. So this is the advanced searching, essentially in support of systematic reviews. So this will be of particular interest to many of you. And there we'll look at the use of field codes for searching, such as title and abstract, use of wildcards, proximity searching, so truncation, and exporting again in more detail, and then creating and sharing custom folders. So I deliberately withheld some information just because of the time and also the fact this was an introduction. I didn't want to overload everyone with more in-depth information when we are going to be running this other session. So I think we'll wait for feedback as to how we schedule this, because typically it would be as today as a WebEx. If we found that some have not joined because it's been too difficult to get onto the WebEx platform, then we can look at possibly using Zoom for the next session. But again, we'll wait feedback and I'll follow up with Rosie in relation to that as well. So I'm going to pause here. Again, there's some slides there to refer to in your own time including our EBSCOhost portal, which is where you'll find tutorials, help sheets, etc. But I will pause here if there are any questions. Okay. Thank you, Ibrahim, for that. Appreciate that. So I'm just going to pause here.